What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. My name is Ben. Today we're going to be talking some MTG. Specifically, I'm going to be discussing Magic's upcoming set, Midnight Hunt. So we've got legend, maestro, and game designer Mark Rosewater releasing some information, a teaser, if you will, on his official blog. And there's a whole lot of kind of information here that just the kind of thing. It's the information that you digest that makes you want more information, that kind of deal. But we're going to be going through it today, and then in the second part of the video, we're actually going to go through some of the cards that have likely already been spoiled. All but officially confirmed to be in Midnight Hunt. So definitely stick around for that as well. One note before we jump right into the blog: if you do have speculation, or as official things develop, feel free to comment and leave that below. So it's fun to kind of, like I said, I'm going to be doing a lot of speculation. I don't know any more than anybody else does necessarily, and I will also link that official blog in the comments below. But all right, that said, let's go ahead and jump into the blog here. So, some things that we can expect. The first one is 3 popular mechanics previously seen on Innistrad return. So, Innistrad's very popular. 3 mechanics from Innistrad. This one is actually probably one of the clues that is a little bit easier to sort of piece together, or at least kind of triangulate. For example, based on one of the hints that's going to be coming up here in the near future. I believe that one of the popular mechanics is likely transform, as there is a transform uh, card that is mentioned coming up here in just a little bit. So 3 popular mechanics from Innistrad return. A new drawback for creature tokens that lets us create them cheaper. So this one is very interesting to me because I'm not, what does that mean that we create them cheaper? Is there a card that creates specific creature tokens? Is this something that's going to apply to all cards that already create creature tokens? But it specifically mentions a drawback for creature tokens that lets us create them cheaper. But regardless, it that sounds like something that could very easily be abused, or could at least fit very well into a lot of working strategies that already involve creature tokens. So that is very interesting. I assume that the drawback is going to be related to the stats, something that a creature, that all creature tokens sort of share. Same thing, all creatures share, power and toughness. But we'll have to see exactly what that means. That is very interesting and definitely something to keep an eye on. The next one, we have a white card that could potentially draw you a card each turn. Now, this hint is intriguing for a particular reason, because white is the color more than any other that really sort of struggles with card advantage. And I mean, it doesn't get after you, as fast as red does or anything in a monocolored deck. But white, really is the color that doesn't draw cards that much. So that is particularly intriguing. And spoiler alert: in the second half of the video, we may actually know what that card is. And it's just about some of the conditions that have to be met in order for you to be able to draw that card. So hang around for the second part of the video. We're going to be discussing that and potentially showing that off. All right, scrolling down here a little bit. All right, the next one. A popular Innistrad card gets reprinted. Okay, well, there are tons and tons of popular Innistrad cards, so your guess is as good as mine. I would guess that does probably refer to the original Innistrad. Um, but even that said, wide open. There are many popular cards. I'm sure that it'll be a very strong one that does get reprinted. And here we have the clue that I was referring to that refers to transform. So like I said, that is likely one of the 3 popular mechanics that is returning for this set. A curse that transforms into a creature. Fair enough. So you can expect, things like that going on. That's not really outside of any of the realms of expectations or anything, but just the fact that that clue mentions transform, like I said, sort of, in my opinion, fills in part of the previous clue. So two permanents that can double something every turn. So this is very interesting. You know, it doesn't necessarily, that sounds extremely powerful, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, sometimes, you know, you could have a creature that doubles +1/+1 counters on himself, or, you know, I mean, just anything. Uh, Anything's really possible. So I mean, that's exciting that, you know, text like that can lead to a potentially very powerful effect, especially since you're talking every turn, double something every turn, double the number of poison counters on the player. Um, so we'll be interested to see exactly what that, you know, what that brings about. But you know, something like that can also come with a very heavy drawback. So here, the next one, also a mythic cycle with you may pay certain cost any number of times. So that's interesting. Um, Probably, you know, potentially something of each color. It says a mythic cycle, so there's probably going to be one of each color. Whatever the cycle may be, whatever card type that it is, you may pay cost any number of times. You kind of think of like um, a legendary creature of each color, you know, that it could be. But it really could, it, you know, not, that's kind of my first inclination, but it really could be any card type. And again, even the fact that it would be based on one card per color is even an assumption. This is all, you know, very incomplete information. Next one, a 4-mana blue aura with you control enchanted creature. So this one is quite interesting in itself. Obviously, control magic is a very powerful, very popular card in, you know, in Commander and in lots of other formats that it's legal. You know, just you play a fancy creature, I take your fancy creature, now it's my fancy creature, and you know, it's as simple as that. So a 4-mana blue aura with you control enchanted creature. Uh, the way that that's printed sort of leads me to believe that it's likely not a direct reprint of control magic, but likely, you know, a different similar spell. So it could be that this spell costs triple blue, or it could be, you know, blue with another color, or, you know, it could even have the same cost as control magic, but it could have a drawback associated to it. You know, it's you are you are bitten by the vampire. You know, so you control the creature, but you know, it has a certain effect, you know, in addition to that. It could even be a bonus. Who knows? At this point, there are all sorts of more powerful things, and you know, power creep is a real thing. So perhaps, you know, you controlling enchanted creature and it gets +1/+1, and you know, who knows what other types of effects. But still, you control enchanted creature. Period. For 4 mana as a blue spell is certainly exciting on its own. All right, we have a popular tournament card in multiple formats gets reprinted with its 5th piece of art. Now, this one is really intriguing to me because that could be a lot of different things, and I have actually spent a little bit of time, you know, honestly it's panned out to more eliminating certain guesses that I had, but don't really have this one figured out yet. Obviously that's going to be exciting. But nobody really knows. Nobody really knows what that is. A popular tournament card in multiple formats with 4 current pieces of art gets a 5th one. So let me know what you think that one is in particular in the comments, because I'm very excited to see what that is. You know, specifically what is getting reprinted, what's going on. So we have a character from Innistrad once mentioned in a short story finally gets a card in an Innistrad set. Fair enough. You know, you like to see them doing that, pulling the characters from the books, keeping the cards true to the lore, to the books, so the people that enjoy both can, you know, enjoy them simultaneously, and you have one sort of congruent product. So that is strong. All right, so we have next little section some rules text that will be showing up on cards. Let's go ahead and get that situated correctly. All right, if your life total would be reduced to 0 or less. So you get cards like Lich, or, you know, cards with like a Platinum Angel type effect, situations where you would lose the game. And the way that that's worded, if your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, the next word on that card is going to be instead. That is setting up a replacement effect. So it's very, very possible that that is, a black enchantment that does that, or it really could be anything, but that's certainly a replacement effect, or I guess almost certainly a replacement effect, that something else happens, that it's going to prevent you from losing the game, and the card likely sets up other parameters for this is the way you lose the game. You lose the game if this card leaves play, or you lose the game if all the cards in your graveyard are removed, or if you have no cards in your hand, or they kill all your creatures, or you have, whatever the case may be. But very interesting. If your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, that's the most typical way that you lose a game. So something that prevents that is interesting right out of the gate. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature you attacked with this turn. So potentially very exciting. Again, the more expensive the spell is off the bat, the more powerful of an effect you expect it to be. The more you are, Timmy dreaming on cloud 9 that you're going to attack with 12 creatures and cast this spell for only 2. But I like that. I like cards that set up potential big windmill plays. I mean, things that set up impossible situations where you can do things like that are a lot of fun. So the next one, as card name enters the battlefield, note your life total. So again, this one is sort of interesting. It could be related to some sort of a life gain strategy. Otherwise, I don't really I don't really know. It's gonna, for some reason, it's gonna matter, what your life total is when this card comes into play. So I don't exactly know. Other things will happen if your life total goes too high or too low. From that point on, I don't really know what to make of that one. But fair enough. That one we really need more information for, I feel like. Put a slime counter on up to one other target creature. So unless that's something that happens, potentially at the beginning of your upkeep, or something that happens every turn, that one's not really that interesting to me. However, if it were like an enchantment that said that, and then the second sentence was creatures with slime counters on them get a certain stat bonus or something, that could be, an interesting card. Creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. So, first and foremost, this only applies to your creature tokens. So there are many, many cards, the potential for many, many cards that create inexpensive creature tokens that have power and toughness lower than 3/3, whether you have 1/1 soldier tokens, or you have 0/1 thrall tokens, or whatever, just anything that you can mass produce quickly. Lots and lots of creatures that are that would be weak. All of a sudden you can play whatever this card is, you can bring this card into play, and all of those smaller creature tokens suddenly have power and toughness 3/3. So especially if you're talking large numbers of them, you could potentially swing for lethal damage. Just right after doing that, if you are able to have 10 or 11 tokens out, and all of a sudden they all have a legitimate 3/3, 3 power. All right, each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard has. You want to say flashback? I don't I don't know if that is okay. And of course, it's not flashback. There are other mechanics that are real similar, but each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard likely has a way to cast it again, with an alternate cost. So that's, of course, potentially powerful. Casting your cards a second time, even for an alternate cost, always something that is very sought after. Ever since Yawgmoth's Will, everybody wants to get double value for all their cards and everything. Potentially, if you can kind of go off and combo out going through a large selection of them. Alright, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast, where X is this card name's power. And that's very interesting because that means that this card name, the card that they're spoiling here, doesn't have a constant power. It can, likely is larger for how much you pay for it, or there's something that it automatically gains counters every turn. You can pay to add counters, or it gains counters, when you deal damage to a creature or an opponent with it or something. But anything that, blankly reduces the cost of instant and sorcery spells can be very, very powerful. You think of storm decks, just even if that creature has 2 power, just think of, if all of your instants and sorceries cost 2 less to cast, that is very, very powerful. So this almost certainly has to be on some sort of an expensive creature. I would imagine something that costs maybe 6 mana, and is like a 1/4 or something to start. I mean, who knows? This is total speculation. We don't know what other attributes or drawbacks or that the card is going to have, but very, very interesting and potentially powerful card. Even if it is, if it's just a creature, you can reanimate a creature very quickly, have an effect like this on the board very quickly. So very interesting to see, exactly what comes about from that hint. All right, now up next, looking at you, Bears, we got put that many +1/+1 counters on this card, then create twice that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So I like the sound of that. You get to beef up one creature to a certain amount, and I guess it's not it's the card that it's on here. So put that many +1/+1 counters on this card, then create twice that many 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, but an army of zombies. And as we're going to see later in the spoiler section, there are certain cards already that that deal with zombies. Again, we're talking vampires, zombies, and werewolves, sort of right in time for Halloween. This set is out in just a couple of weeks, guys. It's unbelievable. So we're going to see a lot of spoilers very, very soon. Now, this next teaser, this next hint, at the beginning of your end step, if you have exactly 13. So, also, I have to say that I believe that what we're going to see here, and this is a slight spoiler, just based on one of the cards that we are going to see in the second part of the video, I believe that for every color, we're going to see something that has to do with the number 13. There's a card that's going to be spoiled that is not this one. That's not if you have exactly 13 life. That something happens conditionally. So this is most likely going to be, for a white card at the beginning of your end step. If you have exactly 13 life, you may win the game. Something happens if you have exactly 13 life. You may cast any number of the copies without paying their mana costs. Again, so that sounds just, how many copies are there? What does it do? Do I get to draw 3 cards for each copy? What is this about? So obviously, that's super, super vague. It sounds like a lot of fun. I want to cast all the copies without paying their mana cost, but we'll just, we'll have to wait and see, exactly what that means, exactly how the copies are determined and whatnot. And here we have some creature type lines in the set. So this just kind of gives you an idea of some of the different types of creatures that are going to be included here in Midnight Hunt. We have Hippogriff Spirit, Human, Soldier, Werewolf. So I know, werewolves are back, and of course they're popular and can come with that transform mechanic, so you can sort of create a powerful effect if you play like a smaller creature but certain conditions are met, and then it transforms into a powerful creature. That's one of the ways that you can still sort of have a balance card. So I think that that's fun. Dragon Egg is next, so looking at Rook Egg or similar there. Leech Horror, fungus horror, plant horror, drake horror. So lots of horrors, coming with this set, and makes me sort of wonder, are we going to see some sort of synergy with that? I believe that there are at least a couple already, and they are pushing those different creature types. So right around Halloween, all right. Well, if we're gonna have horrors, then that's when we should do it. Speaking of which, up next, Demon Dog, legendary creature Ooze, and a couple of more. All right. After that, we have legendary creature Vampire Noble. So that is one that I believe that we've seen. Yeah, we've definitely seen legendary creature Vampire Noble before. Interesting, legendary creature Ooze, and that makes me kind of wonder if, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you don't put a slime counter on each creature, as that previous hint sort of implied that you might be able to. So, all right, that is the end of the blog. That is the end of the first part of the video here. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and actually go over to magicspoiler.com, and we're going to take a look at this point and see, even though the set's just out in a couple of weeks, there are only a couple of different cards that have been spoiled so far. So if you do not want to, see these cards, please, if you don't want any spoilers, honestly, here's already the art for the set. You can kind of see, it looks like that would be a perfect playmat there with the werewolf and some of the product packaging. But if you do not want to see any spoilers or any cards that are going to be in the set, like, do not, proceed any further. Just do all the normal stuff, like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling me how much you loved it or hated it. But for now, we are going to jump into looking at some of the cards that are known to be in Midnight Hunt. So with that said, here we go. You have been warned, and we will proceed. First, take a look at the packaging. Look at those collector packs in the middle. Those are super intriguing. I have not, gone with collector packs at all. I've never I was gifted a collector booster, but I've never purchased one. These look really unique, and they look much different from the draft and set boosters that are also pictured here. But all right, let's take a look at some of the cards that are known that have been spoiled. And Magic Spoiler is pretty reliable. But first and foremost, we have Ren and Seven. Don't wanna overlook those. This is the most popular card that we know about that is believed to be included in Midnight Hunt. So legendary Planeswalker Ren. First ability to reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all land cards revealed this way into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So I love that. Potential tremendous card advantage. Second ability, put any number of land cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. Again, works very well with that first ability. Next one, -3 to create a green treefolk creature token with reach, and this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Now we're talking, and that is quite expensive to subtract 3 to just gain a creature, but that is another potential ability of the card here. And finally, we have the ultimate -8. Return all permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. You get an emblem with "you have no maximum hand size." I'm totally a sucker for cards like that. So, dropping your Vorinclex and then dropping Ren and Seven and instantly doing that is going to be extremely powerful. Look forward to seeing that. I believe it's, Vorinclex isn't going anywhere. Next, we have Play with Fire. Deals 2 damage to any target. If a player is dealt damage this way, scry 1. So, not too bad. You have kind of a shock with a little potential bonus there with the scry 1. Up next, we have Infernal Grasp. Destroy target creature. You lose 2 life. So typically, the 2-cost black spells, 1 black and 1 colorless, that say destroy target conditional creature, destroy target non-black creature, destroy target non-artifact creature, destroy target, non-angel, non-vampire, non-werewolf creature. So Infernal Grasp is very nice that it, and that's the kind of thing that may actually make it see a little bit more play, in Vintage, because that 2 life just may not be as important as being able to destroy any creature right now. So that's very interesting, but you can see it's uncommon there. Very versatile card. Does cost you 2 life, but any creature. Up next, we have Consider. And I really, of course, first thought of Opt when I read this card, but instant for 1 blue, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. Draw a card. So, of course, I thought of Opt, where you have the option to put a card on the bottom of your library instead. This card, I think, is potentially even better because when you put a card into your graveyard, you have the potential to reanimate it or to otherwise retrieve it or otherwise abuse that card much more than you do if a card is at the bottom of your library. So this Consider, I think, is a very worthwhile card. I think that I definitely think that that's going to see play, in some formats for sure. Pretty much a no-brainer. You have an efficient card draw spell for blue that sort of does something else for you for just 1 mana. Up next, we have Champion of the Perished. So this is your zombie champion that you've been waiting for. We have a 1-drop 1/1 zombie that whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Perished. And there are so many different cards that create zombies or cards that create a large number of zombies that this guy is very promising. He is certainly, that card is going to be worth a couple of dollars for sure. There are plenty of zombie cards that you can make this a very, very strong card. And it just a 1-drop, easy to see him becoming a 4/4, 5/5, potentially very, very large if you're able to put, a ton of zombies into play. Up next, this one is, I don't even know if I want to try and pronounce it. We have Triskaidekaphile, and this is the card that leads me to believe that there's likely going to be 1 card of each color that does something related to the number 13. It is a creature, human wizard, for 1 blue, 1 colorless, 1/3. You have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game, and then you can pay 4 to draw a card. So you remember the spoiler that read at the beginning of your end step, if you have exactly 13 life, most likely you win the game. Perhaps that is going to be a card that will have an effect on it that you can pay to gain life. I'm not really sure, but I would bet that there will be 1 card of each color that has something to do with the number 13, and this is one that's been spoiled here. Up next, we have Join the Dance. For 1 green and 1 white, that creates 2 1/1 white human creature tokens, and also has flashback to do that again. So that's a fairly powerful card for decks that have like Wrath of God in it. Things that I guess if you just consider the flashback as a bonus, it's not too bad. I'm not super excited about that one because it is also sorcery speed, but that's the kind of card that you can kind of hold off an army for an additional turn and then clear the board. That's the way that I like to use a card like that, and you have it there to flashback when you're done. So up next, we're going to be talking about Innistrad's full art land cycle that is going to be included in Midnight Hunt, and oh my goodness, these have been confirmed. I do think that they're wonderful. I really like basically everything that they've tried with all the different types of basic land and everything. Full art lands always look beautiful. These are no exception. This is the first time that they've gone to any sort of experimenting with black and white art, and they just look great. We're going to look at each of them right now. You can see that we have 2 different forests there. Just look very different, very unique and intense. I particularly like the forest on the left, I think. The mountains here, both look very, very good. I can't even pick a favorite there. I really like them. Kind of the same thing with the swamp, particularly drawn to the sort of sunken chapels and, the kind of foggy graveyard Silent Hill thing going on here. We have more of a traditional swamp on the second one. Taking a look at the islands, oh my goodness, look at the swamp creature that's pictured there. We have Nessie on that first island, and of course the rough waves crashing into the rock on the second one. But I think every single one of these look fantastic. Full art lands are always a hit. these are going to be no different. People are going to want to get them. I can't wait to look at some of the foil ones in particular. Moving on to look at the planes. Very nice. Looking at the Scarecrow on the right there. Um, Again, just very cool, keeping consistent with all the rest of them. And some of, looks like one of each of the regular lands for the set. Get to take a look at those right now. And I always enjoy the land cycle for each set. Just seeing all the different unlimited possibilities, for all these professional artists to paint a landscape of a forest, a mountain, a swamp, an island, or a plains. And finally, we have one final little spoiler that, because it's a picture of a real card, I guess, it could be Photoshop, but it likely is authentic. I don't really know where it came from, but the fact that it's up on MagicSpoiler.com gives it a pretty good amount of credibility. And I believe that this is potentially, likely, the card that was teased, that said that there was a white card that could potentially allow you to draw an additional card each turn. So without any further ado, we have Leonore, Autumn Sovereign, a 0/4 creature for 4 mana, 2 colorless, 1 green, 1 white. I believe that reads Coven. It's a legendary creature, human noble. I believe it reads Coven. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature you control. Then, if you control 3 or more creatures with different powers, draw a card. So, like I said, that is a white card that would give you the potential to draw a card every turn, and it is potentially pretty powerful. Does require that you have 2 additional creatures, and also provides an additional bonus, beyond that. So if you have that would be 1 creature with 0 power, basically. If you have 2 other creatures of any other power, that ability is activated, and you're going to be drawing that card. But that is the end of the very short list of cards and information that we do actually have for Midnight Hunt right now. As I said, it does come out in just a couple of weeks, so I know that that's going to be here before we know it. I do want to know, what everybody thinks about this information as far as the blog from Mark Rosewater goes. Which of those hints speak to you? What are you seeing that that I necessarily wasn't able to glean from that information? Let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, what you're seeing, what you expect from this set, and feel free to continue to fill those comments up as the official spoilers do roll out. And even after the set is out, we'll say, oh, that's what that meant, of course. And retrospectively, that's so obvious, but we just didn't know. But at this point, that is basically the end of the video. I want to thank you guys all for watching so much. This is a new kind of video where we're, like I said, just kind of covering Magic and what's going on right now. We have Innistrad's Midnight Hunt on the horizon, so I do appreciate everybody watching the video. Do please sub to the channel. Like I said, like the video, helps out that YouTube algorithm, and I appreciate you all. But that'll basically be it for now. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time, friends.